Hello, my name is Noelle, and I'm going to be talking about malnutrition and the effects it has on the elderly. So, it's no secret that Americans don't really eat that well, especially compared to other countries. Our portion sizes are huge. So, if we take a look at our diet, we eat way more food than we should, and the food we eat isn't necessarily healthy for us either. This is because the food we eat is loaded with fats, sugars, and salt. So with that being said, when eating fats, sugars, and salts in a high quantity, it can actually have a negative effect on your health. So setting aside the fact that we eat too much, there is another reason as to why we consume so many sugars, salts, and fats. This reason is the fact that these are the main staples into preserving food, and also into enticing us in wanting to eat these unhealthy foods. So why do we need to preserve our food? Well, one reason is because America has a fast-paced society, and we don't want to waste time on preparing meals. So in order to meet the demands of the growing population and to cut down on food preparation time, they started making pre-made meals and processed meals. This all started around 1910. That's when they started making processed food, which soon turned into pre-made meals. So in order to make these pre-made meals last longer, they had to start adding preservatives to them. And when adding these preservatives, so really it was a high amount of salt and some fats to make the food last longer. Well, in order to keep the taste of the food, well, tasting good, they started incorporating sugar into it as well, so you'd want to eat it. So not long after this, fast food restaurants started popping up in order to cut down the time spent in the kitchen even further. If you could swing through the drive-through and eat the meal on the go, you have more time to do other things. And back then, and even today, we are always on the move and on the run, and we really just don't want to spend an hour or two in the kitchen making a meal, which is how this trend started becoming more prevalent in our society. However, people didn't really fully understand the negative effects that eating these types of meals could have on our body. If you look at the time frame, you can see a correlation between health issues caused by food and the more frequent consumption of these processed and fast food meals. With that being said, these types of foods really started being heavily incorporated into our diets in the baby boomer generation. And so the baby boomer generation is the current generation that is becoming our elderly population today. So how exactly is the baby boomer generation's diet? Well, studies show they currently have the healthiest diet among the newer generations. However, compared to previous generations, their diet is actually worse. One reason they may eat healthier is because they may be being forced to eat healthier due to having an illness that pushes certain dietary restrictions. So by that I mean they have some type of food-related disease such as diabetes or high cholesterol or high blood pressure that restricts them from eating certain things like a high amount of sugar or a high amount of salts. So obviously they're going to eat healthier in order to, well, stay alive. Not to mention the fact that when compared to newer generations, especially if we look at millennials who spend about 44% of their budget on fast food, it wouldn't really be hard to seem like they have a healthier diet. Because as I've already discussed, fast food isn't necessarily healthy for you either, because they're also loaded with a high amount of preservatives in order so they can ship them out to the different food chains and have them made quickly. So Looking at their current health, baby boomers are actually at a higher risk for high blood pressure and high cholesterol than previous generations ever were. And taking that into consideration and everything that I just talked about, it can be inferred that poor eating habits are carrying over into the younger generations and are actually getting worse as time progresses. So that goes back to the whole millennials are spending almost half of their budget on fast food, which isn't really good food. So in order to keep the amount of health or food-related illnesses down, we need to stop or put an end to poor eating habits today. So if we change poor eating habits while we're still young, then we could pass the good eating habits onto newer generation and prevent the onset of certain diseases, which Hannah will take a look at in the next slides.
Cause and effect. The elderly get diagnosed earlier in life with health-related diseases. They then realize that this can cause them to not live as long, so they go on a diet to try to counteract the disease that they were given. Some examples of these diseases are obesity, tooth decay, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, stroke, osteoporosis, and cancer. The first one is obesity. Obesity is defined as a complex disorder involving an excessive amount of body fat. Obesity is not just a cosmetic concern. It increases your risk of diseases and health problems. For our daily caloric intake, males and females are different. For males, the U.S. Department of Agriculture recommends that men consume 2,000 to 2,600 calories if they're sedentary, 2,200 to 2,800 calories if they are moderately active, and 2,400 to 3,000 calories per day if they are active. For women, the U.S. Department of Agriculture recommends that women consume 1,600 to 2,000 calories if they are sedentary, 1,800 to 2,200 calories if they are moderately active, and 2,000 to 2,400 calories per day if they are active. Obesity is caused by exceeding your daily caloric intake with no exercise to counteract that. So if you are obese, you're looking about taking 10 years off of your life. The next one is tooth decay. Tooth decay happens when plaque comes into contact with sugar in the mouth, causing acid to attack the teeth. To control the amount of sugar you eat, read the nutrition facts and ingredient labels on foods and beverages and choose options that are lowest in sugar. If you have a poor diet throughout your life, you will more than likely experience tooth decay. Tooth decay will lead to malnutrition because it will hurt to chew, so eating will no longer be enjoyable. The next one is high blood pressure. High blood pressure is a common condition in which the long-term force of the blood against your artery walls is high enough that it may eventually cause health problems. High blood pressure is caused by genetics, obesity, diabetes, etc. Lower high blood pressure with medication or naturally. Natural ways to lower blood pressure are exercising, losing weight, reducing your sodium intake, cutting back on caffeine, reducing stress, etc. There are 3 stages of high blood pressure. The first one is high blood pressure hypertension stage 1. That is anything between 130 to 139 over 80 through 89. High blood pressure hypertension stage 2 is anything above 140 over anything above 90. And the third one is hypertensive crisis stage. That is anything above 180 over anything above 120. The next one is high cholesterol. Cholesterol is defined as a waxy substance that's found in the fats in your blood. While your body needs cholesterol to continue building healthy cells, having high cholesterol can increase your risk of heart disease. You can only be diagnosed with high cholesterol with a blood test. Some risk factors are poor diet, lack of exercise, obesity, and diabetes. Complications are chest pain, heart attack, and stroke. Some heart-healthy foods to bring down your HDL are whole grains, salmon, nuts, dark leafy greens, broccoli, berries, beans, avocados, apples, and green tea. There are two types of cholesterol. The first one is low density lipoprotein, or LDL, or bad cholesterol. Transports cholesterol particles throughout your body. LDL cholesterol builds up in the walls of your arteries, making them hard and narrow. The second one is high density lipoproteins, or HDL, or good cholesterol, picks up excess cholesterol and takes it back to your liver. Next is heart disease. Heart disease describes a range of conditions that affect your heart. Diseases under the heart disease umbrella include blood vessel diseases such as coronary artery disease, heart rhythm problems, and heart defects you are born with. Some risk factors of heart disease to get heart disease are age, gender, family history, poor diet, lack of exercise, poor hygiene, and stress. Some complications of heart disease are heart failure, heart attack, stroke, aneurysm, artery disease, and sudden cardiac arrest. Can you reverse heart disease? Yeah, you can. You just have to make simple lifestyle changes to help put the brakes on the disease. But you might be able to undo some of the disease, but the rest will require major lifestyle changes. And even though most adults throughout their life get diagnosed with one of these diseases, they can reverse the effects by changing their lifestyle and try to live a longer and healthier life.
My name is Eniola, and I'm going to be talking about things that older adults can do to prevent themselves from getting these diseases from malnutrition. And then I'm going to talk about changing their lifestyle after their diagnosis from malnutrition and then medicine cost. So now I'm just going to show the slides. I'm going to make myself smaller. All right. So, prevention from diseases when older. There are a plethora of things that older adults can do when trying to prevent themselves from being diagnosed with these diseases. One of those things being maintaining a healthy weight and diet. So that means exercising regularly and cutting out red meats and processed foods, and then including fish that's high in oils because that can prevent heart disease. If you're a smoker, stop smoking. Drinking less alcohol or stop drinking alcohol altogether also helps. And then participating in national screen programs and getting regular checkups from your doctor is also very important, because if you don't know what's going on with your body, how can you help yourself? How can you heal yourself? And then managing your stress. So basically, the key to a healthy and long life is just knowing how to take care of yourself. And then changing their lifestyle after malnutrition and the diagnosis that you can get from a bad diet and unhealthy eating. So taking vitamins and minerals that they aren't currently getting from their diet is a step in the right direction. And then putting a healthy twist on comfort foods that are high in sugar and fats, because older adults like comfort foods. They like foods that remind them of their childhood and in the past. So putting a healthy twist on those type of foods can help. And then including more whole grains, natural cheeses, low salt nuts, seeds, fresh fruits, fresh veggies, pre-cut meats and veggies. Um, it's also a step in the right direction. And then again, exercising regularly, because exercising can help an elderly person's body in so many ways. One being that it improves their immune system, another being that it improves their cardiorespiratory and cardiovascular system. So, when you're engaging in physical activity regularly, it can help reduce the risk of heart disease and high blood pressure. And if they already have high blood pressure, it can lower it. Um, it also protects against loss in bone mass. And the better your bone density, the less risk you have of getting osteoporosis. And then it can help with chronic conditions and cancer. So it lowers the risk of getting Alzheimer's disease and dementia. It also helps with diabetes, obesity, again, heart disease and osteoporosis, colon cancer, and it also helps manage high cholesterol and arthritis pains. And then medicine costs. A study made in 2015 from data collected from 1996 to 2000 found that elderly people 65 and over spend almost $20,000 on healthcare and medicine. And healthcare also doubles as you get older, specifically for people 70 through 90, and that's because of nursing homes. Nursing homes take up a big chunk of healthcare expenses. And then also, healthcare is $1,100 more for women than it is for men because of all the extra things that women need in a nursing home as opposed to men. And then, even though there are private and public insurances that can help pay for their healthcare, there are still out of pocket expenses that are costly. So, as opposed to going broke paying for medicines to make them better, they can change their lifestyle and exercise regularly, eat better, cut out all the things that can worsen your diagnosis, and you can heal yourself, or you can make your diagnosis less severe. Thank you.